Okay, good morning. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming. Solis Minerals, there's a cautionary statement. If you want to wade your way through that, please do that at your leisure. My name is Matthew Boys. I'm the Executive Director of Solis Minerals. I joined Solis in February of this year. Been 8 months ago, practically. The remit when I came on was basically Solis was focused on Peruvian copper exploration at that time. And so sat down with the chairman, Mr. Chris Gale, who's the MD of our sister company and our largest shareholder, Latin Resources, and we said, okay, how do we set up, or how do we try and emulate the success that Latin's had in Brazil and create a Latin 2.0? So we looked at there are multiple lithium provinces in Brazil, the pegmatite provinces with lithium-bearing pegmatites in them. So we looked at where would be the next potential Minas Gerais or next lithium valley. We had a look at the northeast and immediately from sort of a skim over of the projects available and the data that was available to us, we saw that there was potential there for us to position ourselves as a large land holding and kick off what we have now today, which is Solis Minerals. Australian exploration in South America. Really what we're trying to do here in Solis is to put in an experienced lithium exploration team. I myself built a company with another board of directors called Red Dirt Metals, which then became Delta Lithium. We proved up 15 million tonnes of lithium-bearing pegmatites with that company, together with a board of members from Latin Resources. We have a team that's put on the books more than 65 million tonnes of lithium-bearing pegmatites. And so we have the experience in the sector. We know what we're doing. We think that aggressively investing in exploration, especially in a place where there's been very limited exploration to date in Brazil, will bear fruit. Brazil itself has demonstrated to everybody over the last 2 to 3 years that it's probably going to become the next major hard rock lithium producer in the world. Minas Gerais now has one producing asset, which is a very large one, Sigma Lithium, and there is a pipeline of projects behind that which are coming to fruition over the next few years. One of the major ones will be Latin Resources. They've proved up over 200 million tonnes of hard rock spodumene-bearing lithium projects in Brazil over the last 5 years. So and that is from zero. There's been no lithium exploration in the country today. There's been some historic tantalum production and also cesium production in Brazil, but no lithium up until like last year, basically, of any sort of serious scale. So when you look at what the team we put into place in Brazil, the approach we have is to explore aggressively. We put all our money into the ground. We have a very small corporate structure in Australia. All of our team is in Brazil. We started off with one person from February this year. We now have about 20 people on the books. We are drilling. We've successfully raised somewhere in the order of $10 million this year, and that money is going directly into the ground in the form of drilling into the Borborema province. Moving on, lithium market supply and demand. I really don't need to explain to anybody what the decarbonisation efforts in the world are doing to this lithium market. Obviously, we're in a slump in the current period of time, but if any of you participated in the benchmark presentation this morning, which was absolutely excellent, really what they're showing is that in 2030 we're going to be in deficit. Demand is going to exceed supply and for the foreseeable future, and obviously that puts us in good stead as far as a lithium explorer and a commodity explorer goes. I guess it's a very good situation to be in. We think we're in a country where we can take advantage of the potential for short-term supply shortage and with the short lead times for getting permitting in Brazil and being able to actually become a producer with respect to Canada and even Western Australia. I think we should be what we're trying to do at Solis is take advantage of that, position ourselves so that we have a lithium asset that we can actually push to production in a very short period of time. So when we're looking at purchasing acquisitions or investing in existing projects in Brazil, the focus I have is to have a two-tier system. So we have a large land package in Borborema, which I'll get into in a minute, but we're looking at very early stage greenfields exploration, which we can run in unison with purchasing advanced projects which are drill ready, basically. So we have lithium-bearing pegmatite sticking out the ground. We try and get hold of those assets. We'll drill test them, and then we move them forward. If there's nothing there, we walk away and we look at the next one. Having the sister company in Brazil for the last 15 years, it gives us a massive advantage with respect to networking, legal counsel, infrastructure, and basically reducing the time frame needed to get those, access to new projects and relationships in place that you need to be able to develop and build a company quickly. So that's a massive advantage for us. Lithium in Brazil, I think I've covered most of this at the moment, but one of the key points for Brazil is there's a 2% royalty on any lithium production and any lithium sales, lithium metal sales. So any revenue that comes out of that 2%, it's an NSR. So that goes to, a portion goes to the federal government, but then the takeaway, the key takeaway point from this is that about 0.6 to 0.7% of that global revenue there, from that royalty, actually ends up going into local government. So, for example, the picture you got on the screen there is our Estrela project in the Borborema province. The local town there, which is Carnaúba dos Dantas, which is literally 5 kilometres away, will receive 0.6% of that global revenue flow into that particular local municipality, which is a massive amount of money for a small government, and it obviously gives them, they're extremely incentivised to give us as much support as possible moving these projects forward. We see that as a main key and a driver for us to be able to work effectively with the local communities. A lack of modern exploration. Really, Brazil, as I said, hasn't seen any real lithium exploration until about 5 years ago. And the successes that have come out, especially in Minas Gerais and Lithium Valley, really demonstrate that there's potential for massive upside with regards to hard rock lithium exploration. We see Borborema province as the next Lithium Valley. That's what basically we're trying to emulate. We're trying to find another 50 million tonne resource, and we think that Borborema province has the potential to deliver that in the short term. Positive mining sentiment. The whole province is, especially around where we are based in Estrela and our Mina Vermelha project, they are basically historical workings for tantalum, beryl. You've got tantalum, beryl, and also some cesium as well. The whole district is run predominantly from mining and a little bit of agriculture, so there is great support from local communities for people to develop mines and for people to invest in mining. We have a lot of local artisanal miners, garimperos, that have joined our company, and they've got fantastic knowledge of where the existing pegmatites are and where to go and look. It's sort of short-circuiting the whole exploration procedure. So what we're doing is focusing, as I said before, we're focusing on two aspects of the lithium exploration. One is a long-term, more greenfields, setting up projects from zero, where we've got very little information, and others is drilling assets which have already got exposed outcropping lithium-bearing pegmatites on them. Infrastructure. Listen, I think Brazil, I've worked in a lot of countries in South America, I've worked around the world, and I've been extremely surprised of how well connected northeastern Brazil is and how well the infrastructure is actually developed up there. And so we've got access to asphalt roads, run straight past the front of all our projects. The weather's a lot better than it is here. Sorry, but it is. It's 30 degrees all year round, doesn't rain. We have really, we've got power, we've got low-cost hydro and wind power very close to the project. So from an infrastructure standpoint, very well positioned. Borborema Lithium Province, as I said, we decided to focus on another lithium province. There are multiple lithium pegmatite provinces in Brazil. Brazil is a very large place. It's as big as Australia. So it's a massive area. What we've decided to do here is we've pegged a strategic landholding of about 26,000 to 27,000 hectares, and we're looking obviously consistently at picking up more ground as we move forward. We're not stopping with what we've got. We have most of the projects that we have are greenfields. There's never been any work done on them at all. We're just commencing now a regional soil geochemical program that'll be over about 2,500 hectares. That'll expand to 8,500 hectares later on in the year, and that will start to develop our short and long-term targets for our drilling. There's been no systematic exploration on any of this lithium corridor. We think this particular part of northeastern Brazil, which is called the Borborema Lithium Project or Lithium District, has about 150 kilometres of basically untested lithium corridor, of which there are multiple known occurrences of outcropping lithium-bearing pegmatites with confirmed spodumene in them. So what we're focusing on here at Solis is to try and pick up and peg and secure as much of that ground through acquisitions, joint ventures, et cetera, in the short term. We have, I think it's probably 50% of my time is spent talking to people and trying to close deals, trying to get new acquisitions across the table. We are in a good position cash-wise. That helps us to be able to negotiate terms that we feel are favourable, and hopefully that we can then build up something, a pipeline of projects which gives us, a really strong future from now, so 3, 6, 12 and 18 months out as we move towards what we hopefully is going to be a mineral resource estimate. The main two projects we're looking at in the Borborema province at the moment are Estrela and Mina Vermelha. Mina Vermelha, we've just closed that acquisition recently, and Estrela we've had since basically earlier this year. We've just started drilling on both of those projects now. Estrela project. Estrela, if you can look up into the northeastern corner of that, there's a project called Salgadinho. It's a mine that's been mined for feldspar primarily. And in the bottom of that pit, there's a 40-metre wide pegmatite which is full of spodumene. Those pegmatites run into our Estrela project. So we've started drilling at Estrela about 3 weeks ago now. We have 2 track-bound rigs on site. We expect to complete around about 3,600 metres of drilling over the next month and a half into those assets, and we'll be submitting our diamond core, hopefully with results back before Christmas. We have 4 to 5 known outcropping pegmatites with existing garimpos on site. These are all just walk-up drill targets. There's nothing that we've actually physically created ourselves or physically developed ourselves through any target generation from geochemistry or other forms of mapping, et cetera, et cetera. It's a 1,000-hectare block. Plenty of upside for the other pegmatites on them. They've all got spodumene in them in various percentages at surface, outcropping, and now we need to basically find a pegmatite within that swarm or within that field that has got economic potential. So basically, 25 drill holes going on, 23 drill holes going into that over the next month, and our first ones will be submitted in the coming weeks. The Mina Vermelha project, this is an asset which sits on a 500-hectare block that we picked up recently. It's got about 6 outcropping pegmatites at surface. They have low levels of spodumene concentrations in them. They have a lot of cesium at surface. We've found a lot of polysite outcropping. They are big pegmatites, up to 20, 30 metres thick. What we really need to do now is understand whether they have mineralisation which continues at depth, and whether any of that mineralisation is of economic viability. We are drilling there as of this week, and so we'll update the market as we move forward with how that works. It's in a great position. It's 20 kilometres south of the town of Pareles, easily accessible. The surface landowner is the same guy that actually owns the asset. It's on a granted mining lease of 6 hectares, of which we could actually dig up tomorrow if we wanted to. And so it is one of those assets that there's a lot of prospectivity and a lot of potential. We just need to make sure that through our exploration program this quarter we can demonstrate that there is economic viability on the project. We have an option agreement for 12 months to do our due diligence on that. It's only cost us 150,000 Canadian dollars. So I think a very cheap earn-in, and we'll spend approximately another $250,000 on drilling over the next 3 to 4 weeks in that asset, and then we'll see what happens after that. So there's, it has potential to hold an economically viable asset. It's got 6 outcropping pegmatites on it. There are probably more. So the volume is there. We just need to make sure that the mineralisation does extend at depth. So, in summary, exciting near-term exploration activity. I guess the focus for us is to get this 5,000 metres of initial diamond drilling out of the way in Estrela and Borborema and Mina Vermelha. Based on success of those projects, we'll accelerate and expand our drill programs to look forward to, with the objective of obviously having a mineral resource defined sometime in the middle of next year. We are actively looking at additional projects, actively looking at acquisitions, actively looking all over Brazil and not just in Borborema to expand our portfolio of projects. I think Solis wants to be a company that has a very, very important ground position in Brazil going forward. We feel that the more projects that we can actually put our foot on with a decent I guess payment structure in place and decent negotiations done on those projects, we feel that's going to add a lot of value to us going forward. And obviously, Brazil, it is incentivised for exploration and bringing these projects into production as soon as physically possible. The company overview, really the key points from this are number of shares on issue. For an Australian listed company, we're ASX, TSX and CS, whatever the other one is, CSC listed. We have only 90 million shares on issue. We have at the moment about 8.5 million Canadian dollars in the bank. We have no debt, and we have only 20 shareholders control the top 42% of the shares on issue. The board and management, we've all put our own money into the company, all participated in the last placing at 55 cents. We believe in Solis as a company. I think it's a lovely tight structure. It's got potential to grow exponentially on discovery. We have a major shareholder in Latin Resources, which gives us massive support both financially and also through infrastructure and support technically in country in Brazil, and that really does facilitate growing of our portfolio of projects and also really making sure that Solis puts itself in a position to be first in line when new projects come across the table. And our board, really not a lot we can say for that besides, Chris Gale from Latin Resources, the chairman, has had fantastic success with Latin over the last few years. Myself as executive director, Michael Parker, who ran all of FQM's copper exploration for them in Peru. That's one aspect of the company I haven't touched on at the moment, but we do have a massive portfolio of copper ICG porphyry style exploration in Peru that we are and will update the market on as we move forward. And Kevin Wilson, banking background, and Shafika Nadine, who won last year's P8 Woman of the Year. So thank you very much. If there are any questions, please come forward.